Hello, everyone. Welcome to another No Logic race. It's the No Logic Summer Tournament 2022, and we have Malmo versus Krithel. I'm Chex Human, and I'm joined by JD Silvergun. Hello, JD.
Hello, Chucks.
And the runners are off. So this is No Logic. It's the winners' finals in the bracket. So we have in the upper bracket our two remaining runners, Malmo versus Krithel. Fun fact, both of them are tournament organizers, both of them co-op partners. It should be a really fun race.
Yeah, I'm really excited for this match. Both of these runners are very skilled, very fast, and they're also very good friends too. So it's interesting to see the rivalry come to the winners' finals of the tournament.
Yes, for sure. And we have Malmo starting off with a hobo clip, out of bounds and fake flippers. This continues on into slope swimming, and we should see that in a second. It can take a couple of tries to get right, but we can see Link pushing into the collision. Malmo will be able to swim through the mountains, and after this we may see her walk on water.
So one thing about this format, for those that are not aware, is that it is a double rods format, meaning there are two copies of the fire rod and the ice rod, and that is done for several reasons. And no logic means that the items are placed without any regards for obtainability or beatability. So we are going to see several major glitches like the ones we're seeing right now.
That's right. Most
Krithel
major
also gets his swim into...
glitches are allowed, but not all.
Both are pioneers of this swim to Ice Rod Cave opening, so I'm not surprised that we're seeing this from both of them. Oh no.
These crabs are the worst.
That is unfortunate. Well,
They've
hopefully
taken
Krithel's
out.
not too detoured.
No, I don't think so. They've taken out a lot of us no logic runners in this tournament.
The Moon Pearl was in the waterfall, so hopefully Krithel is able to get back to that. Turtle Rock Big Key in Sanctuary is one of the better big keys to find, although none are actually required. Green Pendant, Skullwoods is interesting. That's probably not what they were hoping for. I don't know. For no logic, usually you want your pendants to be like Swamp, Mire, maybe Eastern or Turtle Rock, depending.
Yeah, Skullwoods is one of the most accessible dungeons in the game. It's just open from the start, essentially. Nice hoarders today with bombs.
Yeah, bombs is one of the best ones. Bombs and red 20s are what we want to see. So glitches can be very expensive sometimes.
Exactly. There have been races where it comes down to farming. And yeah, it's really nice to know that the first tree pull gives red rupees. Is that tier 1 or tier 2?
I think it was tier 1, but I am not 100% certain.
Nice meetup at the shovel and thieves. Thieves hideout.
Well, if you're gonna get the shovel, this is a good time to get it before you even went to the flute spot area. It's very easy to put off things in no logic. And very easy to get distracted by other things. New Death Mountain ascent from Malmo. Shortcut into the old man cave without using a glove.
Yeah, we oftentimes see the dark old man passage. Nice Cane of Samaria in Blind's Hut.
Yeah, Samaria and the bow as well. Malmo's typically one of the runners that likes to delay Kakariko, but hopefully she won't delay it for too long in this seed.
Okay, the old
Sword on
man.
the old man.
And this means this sword cannot be duped. Hey, there's a sword. And the well. So our runners will have easy access to a level 2 sword to beat Ganon with.
That is a relief. Oh, the lamp? Well, this is a stacked Kakariko.
Yeah, this is really good. The lamp is essential for setting the search index at a high value. And we may use that to mislot in this seed.
Yes, the lamp is not for seeing in the dark, although it does help with that as well. The misslotting glitches that become available with the lamp are extremely powerful in combination with other items, and the lamp is the easiest way to set up those glitches. So we had the Thieves' Town Big Key in Hera, and the significance of that is that is one of our 4 Cave State Big Keys, because we do not always explore dungeons in Dungeon State, meaning we don't enter through the front door. So the Cave State keys will allow us to open big key doors and big chests when we get there.
That fairy was just out of reach for Malmo before it disappeared.
That fairy is such a troll.
Yeah. So now, Malmo just avoids damage at 1 heart remaining. Here it's time for... Okay. Yeah. It's a dangerous place to be. So, Malmo takes an unfortunate death in Spiral Cave. Krithel, meanwhile, continues from Kak into Desert.
That is unfortunate, but now both runners have taken an unfortunate death, so I think from the standpoint of the race, it's a good thing, but it's bad for Malmo. And the mountain is very dangerous with 3 hearts, even with the sword. It would have not been surprising if she just skipped Spiral Cave in that case, and just came back later, in my opinion.
And its Tower Big Key is in Desert. Krithel probably won't use that in Ganon's Tower State, but it can be a useful Cave State Big Key. We know Malmo already has one of those in the Thieves' Town Big Key. So now Krithel is setting up a quadrant glitch, and he'll be able to get to the right side desert, and we see the broken transition, and this will take Krithel over a screen to right side. Sometimes we're not allowed to scroll the screen. I'm not sure why, but Krithel is scrolling the screen. And we can see him open the chest. But can he get hit?
Unfortunate heart container.
Yeah. Delays the death warp.
Yeah, wasting valuable bombs. Bombs are so useful. And that's an interesting point about the Ganon's Tower key being our second Cave State Big Key. If they were unable to find a Cave State Big Key, they might eventually go to Hyrule Castle to get the Ball and Chain Guard key, because that is one of the 4. And in some seeds, there will be like GT Big Key and Thieves' Town Big Key, like in the castle or at Uncle, so all the Cave State keys will just be in one place, and it can be unfortunate, but that is not the case this time.
Elmo checking out Paradox Cave. Just junk, apparently.
Yeah, Malmo is really hoping for a bottle or powder or the flute before going to Kakariko would be my guess. I'm guessing this is going to be a Graveyard Ledge descent into a South Shore play from a Houlihan. It's a very common part of the early game.
Hey, a mirror in Graveyard
Mirror.
Ledge. That's perfect.
Yeah, Mirror is a really good find. And not just for its intended purpose, it can help with routing, but there are several glitches we can do with the mirror as well. It makes Dark World navigation easier, although they have the Moon Pearl, so that is not an issue. Or I should say Malmo has the Moon Pearl.
Yeah, it could be tempting to go into Village of Outcasts and combine it with Kakariko at this point.
Yeah, I really like that play. As you were saying, Skullwoods is very easy to get to. Even if they didn't have the Moon Pearl, they could just clip off the mountain, and you would be able to combo all those plays together quite easily.
Krithel actually has a lamp. A little surprising.
Oh yeah, that's true. Yeah, rescuing the old man with light is fairly uncommon luxury. We have even seen the old man having a lamp himself, but not using it in this tournament.
Right. Exactly. And you're right, Malmo's going to South Shore.
Yeah, she snuck in a Sahasrara visit that I wasn't expecting there, but it makes sense. 3 items and info. Since this is a key sanity mode, the runners do not know what their pendants and crystals are unless they find out from maps or talking to NPCs like Sahasrara or the bomb vendor. Or simply defeating the bosses in whatever dungeon state you're in.
Red boomerang for
But
Krithel.
interesting.
This is at Ether Tablet.
The red boomerang.
Go ahead.
The red boomerang can be interesting for certain glitches, but I was just going to say an interesting thing about no logic is that sometimes we can dupe prizes as well out of other dungeons to gain info as well, and that is not really an option in other key sanity modes. So that is another interesting thing about the format for those that were not aware. And we may see that from these runners.
You have Desert Palace for Malmo. And Ice Palace. Krithel, meanwhile, we saw a funny auto walk thing. The DMD went wrong, and Krithel is unable to get to Graveyard Ledge, unfortunately. I bet he'll go back at some point, but I don't know when that'll be.
Meanwhile, Malmo has done what is known as a door juke. When you approach a screen transition from the other side, it will take you to a different room. And so in this case, Mini Moldarm Cave connects to King's Tomb. Where's Malmo going? Is this capacity upgrade? Because she already did Zora area.
Mm-hmm. That's my guess.
Yeah, only 3 bombs. This is a good time to do it. We have,
Oh, yeah.
unfortunately, seen a lot of runners running out of resources in this tournament. Glitches can be very intense and demanding on the resources.
For sure. Especially bombs. Arrows too, but Malmo doesn't go for the upgrade. She doesn't know if she'll even have the bow.
That's a really good point. I agree with skipping the arrows for now, because we have seen some runners like optimistically buy arrows, but we are never guaranteed to have any particular item in no logic. Sometimes you just have to make do. Malmo is setting up a screen wrap. I'm guessing that she's going to use this to displace a mirror portal, so she can combo a Pyramid Fairy with a Hyrule Castle check.
Finds out
And I believe we see that I'm sorry, I was just going to say, I believe TR is a crystal. I believe we just saw that on Malmo's map.
Yeah, that'll mean we need the Ice Rod to defeat Trinex. Ice Rod and Fire Rod. And of course, a
Krithel
sword
also,
or hammer. But of course, we already have a sword to beat Trinex with.
I hope we don't have to do a Fighter Sword Trinex, although I have recently encountered that in a seed because I didn't have the hammer or a Master Sword.
That was a bit of a chase for Krithel. Chased by a crab.
Malmo has done what we call a North Moat clip to reach Aga Tower from the north after doing a Death Mountain descent.
The spins Malmo is setting up, unfortunately, not much better than Fighter Sword slashes. However, it does give her range to deal with the enemies. Oh, and we see the high value item drop pack is bombs this seed.
So Krithel with the Zora play, that is, I mean, that's certainly a little bit unexpected and no logic, because our money is generally used on potions for glitches and bomb capacity upgrades.
Right, and Krithel finds a castle tower key, so we may see a second chest that we didn't see on Malmo's side at some point.
Yeah, not only that, but it would be faster for Krithel as well with the, with the Master Sword it would be faster, but also the Castle Tower key might be important for one of the methods to dupe Swamp without flippers, but our runners are definitely hoping that that is not going to be the case this seed.
And Krithel goes into the Dark World. Very interesting, having no mirror. It'll be interesting to see what he goes for. Super Bunny Cave is nice because he'll get a full magic. And he gets a bottle out of it with a blue potion.
Yeah, that's a really good find. The bottle glitches, also known as YBAs or Yuzu Hara's Bottle Adventures, are some of the most common glitches in this mode. We use them to reach other areas. Right away, just drinking it so he can get a red potion. This is interesting.
I am wondering if he wants to use it for subtile transition that he has in mind, or if he wants it as for general purpose. But to me, it appears that he's going into Hookshot Cave. He'll probably want to use it in GT to get to GT from Hookshot Cave.
Yes, and it looks like he's going to give us some hover attempts as well. I'm just guessing based on knowing Krithel. And we have our first Ice Rod seen at Uncle. And there's no guarantee that Krithel is going to get that Ice Rod, although he probably will, but no logic routing is very, very loose and open to wherever you want to go.
That's right. And we have hover attempts. Krithel is very good at hovering. Fails the first one, but the second try, easy. And, yeah, shoutouts to Krithel. Flippers are in Hookshot Cave, so that's pretty nice. Krithel has a recent PB in All Dungeons RMG, which does have a hovering which this the speedrun does have a hovering section to save a little bit of time, and Krithel's pretty good at that. Okay, Krithel does go for
Yeah,
the
it's a,
subtile YBA.
I was just going to add on to what you were saying. Yeah, that route uses an optional, very advanced hover to clip through the rail in pod. So yeah, it's very accurate of you to say that Krithel is very good at hovering. And you may not be able to tell, but we are in Ganon's Tower right now on Krithel's side in cave state. And meanwhile, a hype cave from Malmo.
Yeah. Krithel takes down Water Armos. Runs out of arrows at the beginning, but uses slashes to take care of it. Yeah. Malmo gets a Hera big key. I didn't quite see what else of value was there.
I don't think there was anything else of value. There was maybe a skull, small. I could be wrong.
Okay, so we know Thieves Town is a crystal on Malmo's side. Thieves and Eastern.
Oh, and Eastern is an interesting one. It's not going to be a big deal in this seed because we know one of the bows is easily available, but Eastern can be troublesome in some seeds, depending.
Okay, we see a North Samaria from Krithel corrupting the transition and bringing him up one screen to Rando Room. He finds Quake.
Yeah, unfortunately, you have to. Yes, Quake might be an interesting find. We'll have to see, depending. I'm gonna say the unfortunate thing about that corruption that he did to get there is that you have to save and quit afterwards. You can't leave the room. If you do a YBA to access that room, you are able to leave, but still, I don't disagree with it. It's just an interesting point of that. Flippers are so annoying for this. What Krithel's trying to do. But the flippers in Hookshot Cave are a very interesting find because Malmo is not practiced at hovering. I don't think she goes for it at all. And if the hookshot is not available and if Swamp is a crystal, that could be a very large advantage for Krithel. Depending on what other items are available. Although we know she can get the lamp and Samaria in Kakariko, which is most of a hook pushing package. With her Master Sword as well.
Okay, Malmo's going up. We see her using two teleports to get from Digging Game to Village of Outcasts.
Yeah, it's good to take note of the overworld glitches, even though they're often brushed over because so many glitches happen in this mode, but the glitched modes, the routing is so interesting, in my opinion. So much of the game is just available whenever you want to go there.
I was slightly surprised he chose not to go to Misery Mire, but there's so much to do here that makes sense.
And maybe she's hoping that it's going to be a pendant and not having any medallions doesn't want to check it right now. I don't know.
Another hope would be to combine Mire with Desert, and Malmo is sort of under-prepared for Desert. She just found a bottle in Kakariko, which might bring her back. We'll see.
Yeah, that bottle is a very good find. It's the second one we know about, and also came with a blue potion, which it can be used to fake flute, but which is less valuable in the seed because they have the moon pearl, but it still could be used for routing if they want to use it instead of just wasting it. Or it could be used for a super tile YBA as well in the underworld.
Krithel just did a fun Death Mountain super drop, wrapping Link 4 times around the screen, 2 times in a row, and that puts Krithel at the bottom of the world map.
Yeah, that's a really fun one to do.
And now Malmo gets her Master Sword in the well.
I didn't see that on Krithel's side. 300 from the bottle vendor is a nice, nice return.
Yeah, it is.
Krithel buys expensive bombs from the bomb shop.
They're very expensive.
So it's interesting that the only thing of note that was in Ganon's tower, at least that we know of, because some of the items were invisible, was that Quake medallion, and that is of unknown value currently.
Bottle for a bottle. Thank you, sick kid.
Bottle locked bottle. That is kind of rude and no logic, but in this seed it happens to be not that bad. This kid is one of the locations in the game that is like hard locked by the requirement. Like another example of that would be like the tablets with the book or like the dig spot with the shovel.
So Malmo's making a play for Thieves Town. This is pretty interesting. Wonder what she'll be able to do from here.
I really like this play because she knows it's a crystal and she has the big key, so routing it the vanilla way is arguably quicker than doing it from the inside out because she was not, she didn't go to desert, so she did not, like, open the top already. The map of Swamp is a really good map to find.
For sure.
Well, Krithel is also not going to the Mire area. It is a little bit out there. Or did he already and I missed it? Or...
He already went.
Oh, he did.
We saw that Ether Medallion gets us into Mire today.
Okay, that's really interesting. We still don't know if that is a crystal or not, but if it is, Ether will be one of the most high value items they can find.
That's right. And logic items are oftentimes just nice to have. Having the Mire Medallion saves a lot of time.
Krithel also into Thieves Town. This makes sense for the same reasons it did for Malmo. And you're already here, you might as well clear it out and get the crystal and the items. It's very uncommon to see the vanilla Thieves Town approach, though, I would say, in this mode.
Yeah, exactly. That's why it somewhat surprised me. Even though I would 100% also do this in their shoes.
Yeah, for those that are not aware, Thieves Town is more commonly accessed with YBA from the Uncle Passage or a bomb juke, or there is a way from Desert as well. And different ways have their advantages, but this is probably the fastest way to do it since they have front door access and the big key.
All right, Malmo's going into Blind's room. And Blind is down.
Yeah.
Malmo misses the setup at the beginning of phase 3, but it was not a problem.
Yeah, only a little off script. The third part of the script is the tricky part, but she, has no issue though taking care of it.
Exactly.
That is our first crystal.
Nice.
First crystal at 31 minutes. That's, not bad.
Yeah. With the Pearl, our runners are able to search more before going into dungeons, perhaps. Oh, it's tough for Malmo to find a place to mirror because it's not a common place to go from VOO to CAC in front of the library. It's just not seen very often.
Yeah, that's true.
Oh, I missed where Krithel got the gloves. I wonder if this was an invisible item, or if we just missed it. Wow. Small shortcut for Krithel.
Yeah, it must have been one of the items. Yeah, it must have been one of the items behind Water Armos that we were not able to see because of the YBA that he used to get there. Makes the items invisible, unfortunately, but a glove is a very convenient item to have. By no means required, but it's definitely nice to have.
Well, takes Blind down handily. Meanwhile, Malmo is off to the desert area.
That is an interesting point you brought up earlier about how Malmo can combine Mire with Desert, but not in the way that that we're used to seeing in a No Glitches seed, because she has the Desert Big Key and Samaria. She has easy access to Vitreous if she wants to do that.
Oh, yeah. That's a good point. That is very interesting. I'm not sure, but that would be very interesting to see. Malmo also places her mirror portal in such a way that she can continue without the use of the gloves. And
yeah,
we see
that was very good routing. Sorry.
Yeah, and we see Krithel going into Skullwoods.
Yeah, Skullwoods, I like Skullwoods and Key Sanity. There's lots of items here, and a lot of dupable items with Samaria, or at least one that's, well, although he's going the regular way to it.
Yeah.
I don't know, I'm a little surprised. There's a faster way to open that chest from the middle using Samaria, but certainly not a big deal. And Malmo, I'm really surprised that she's actually using the Desert Big Key in Desert. Stealing that key from the back and glitching to the boss can be really handy.
It can be. But yeah, we'll see how this goes.
I'm also curious if she's going to mirror out after she sees the prize. It looks like that's what we're seeing right now.
So, okay. This doesn't totally work. Yes, it does. Yes, exactly. Malmo did exactly what she needed to do there, which was to um, allow Link to get deeper into the portal before mirroring back. Otherwise, she'd be bonking against the upper wall. Yeah, Krithel does not have the use of the
And
mirror, but is using wall masters to get back to where he starts.
I think that's a good way to do it. Yeah, that's unfortunate that he got the auto walk instead of getting the graveyard ledge descent. So he may never go back for that. Which it's not certainly. I wouldn't expect that to change the outcome of the race, although it could. But it is a little unfortunate for him. Mirror is just a really good item to have.
Okay, very interesting. Krithel uses a YBA, a fake flute, to get to the potion shop, and he did this from the
Yeah, I
dark
really like
world,
this.
which means he's still in real dark world, which is here fake light world. And we'll have to see where he goes. He's going toward catfish. Silver is for Malmo and
Wow.
Desert Big Chest.
This is really good routing from Krithel because catfish is one of those checks that if you're not like jumping off of the mountain, like it's pretty inconvenient to check. Even then, it's still like there are other things you can do from the mountain. I really like this routing from Krithel.
Yeah, I haven't seen this before. This is really cool.
And for those viewers that aren't aware, what we mean by fake worlds is it's just part of the way the vanilla game works that's patched out. We're getting an overroll conveyor. Oh, I'll
Right.
hold off on that explanation.
So we saw Krithel foreshadow this by spamming his lamp earlier. Now he has to retry it, so he's not getting it. But Krithel is, I believe, attempting to go into pod here, which is pretty interesting. There's a fast way in there. Okay, Krithel continues, which is really interesting. One thing we can do here is swap the ID of pod, but not sure if that's what's happening. No. Okay, that was a
That
really
unfortunately
interesting
was
attempt.
yeah, that unfortunately was a failure. He got stuck in the wall, but this is a brand new thing that Krithel had just discovered himself recently. And meanwhile, we're getting a Death Hole Argus from Malmo.
It's funny.
Sidlich using another North Samaria.
Yeah. Yeah, you mentioned that she could get the Vitreous with Kane. She can also get to Argus.
Yeah, this is a really interesting glitch. Death Hole is using an invisible pit created by Samaria, and with a frame-perfect death with the bomb explosion as you're falling into the pit. I don't know why this works, but you can see that she's now in the Argus arena. And that's why she did not pick up one of the reasons why she did not pick up the crystal from Landmo, because she can get it from fighting another boss, but in Desert State. Her dungeon ID is set to Desert because that was the last place she entered in through the front door.
And Malmo's able to skip phase 1 of Argus by scrolling the puffs off screen. She has to be careful here. And I think we're good. Yes, we are good.
Yeah, that fight is pretty dangerous, because there's another way we can get to Argus where the camera is even more unlocked. But this way, it's a little bit harder to do the hookless fight. And she only had 2 arts left, so that was really good that she got the fight done. Krithel gets a crystal out of Hera as well. You love to see a crystal at Hera in No Logic. So this, on Malmo's side, is another example of fake worlds. She's in the light world right now, even though she was taken to a Dark World screen. It was the fake Dark World, so now she screen transitions back to the real Light World. This is like the opposite of what happened to Krithel with the fake flute from the real Dark World to fake Light World. And this is vanilla behavior of the game that's patched out in No Glitches Randomizer.
And it's funny, Krithel quickly gets blue mail and red mail. Blue mail was at Hera Big Chest. Now Krithel gets red mail from the shooter room of Pod. We're in Cave State Pod now, so keys are meaningless. Krithel can open any door.
Yeah, we already saw Krithel in a Cave State GT, but did not open many doors, so it was not as apparent. For those that aren't aware, is that small key doors they're totally meaningless when you're in Cave State.
Starting to appear that the hook shot is not in an easy location in this seed. So it may be that neither runner gets hook shot, or one gets it, or they'll get it late. I'm not quite sure, but it's definitely going to make Swamp a key issue if it ends up being a crystal. Oh, it is a crystal, isn't it?
Okay. I missed the map check. But yeah, they both have the swamp map from Thieves Town, so I guess it makes sense that we know that now. So if Malmo gets the hook shot, then Krithel's flipper advantage for Swamp is not going to be as big a deal. Oh wow, hook shot is just in Pod. That's not really a bad location.
No, that's not that bad at all. It's not that bad. With Mirror, Malmo may be encouraged to go to Pod at some point, maybe even now. And I say that because it's easier to get to Helmasaur with using Mirror. But we'll see. But Malmo is she's jumped off the ledge and is trying to get back.
Oh, I missed it. What happened is she probably just had a little too much super speed. That's an easy mistake to make. Yeah, I've definitely done that mistake before.
Yeah, Malmo's going to Pod. Now, Malmo is very considered in how she routes this dungeon. She may opt to skip the back, or she just might do it a little different because she keeps in mind sword dupes and opportunities to dupe items.
Yeah, that's one thing I also learned from Malmo about Pod is really difficult to route in no logic because you want to try to not take forever, but depending on which chests that you leave closed, it can become possible to close other chests that you already opened based on that by using potions or Samaria glitches. So that's a really good point that you brought up. Well, we're getting the statue drag to Helmasaur from Krithel. He has reloaded the dungeon, so he's no longer in Cave State. And by storing this statue pulling animation, he'll be able to juke the transition in the front door. And it will cause an underworld screen wrap that will allow him to manipulate his position in the underworld, and eventually he's going to get to the boss room. Pretty quick here. This part is fairly precise, but these runners are very skilled and practiced at this glitch.
Yeah, this is one of the craziest, complicated routes to a boss, but it's funny how accessible it makes the this boss, Helmasaur King.
Yes, you literally just need bombs to do this, and a weapon for the boss, whether it be a bow, a hammer, sword.
And with this equipment, fun fact, Krithel could go for the murder bomb technique, but does not do that. I don't know how much time it
Yeah.
saves, if any, but could possibly save resources. And Malmo does find Hookshot.
All right. Well, the swamp is now not a big deal for Malmo because if she kills Mothula, then there's a really easy dupe from the front of swamp with the hook push to the Mothula super tile that will give her the swamp crystal.
Exactly.
So Krithel's flipper advantage now is really only significant if he wants to look for items inside swamp. And this race is looking like very close so far. I think Malmo has a little bit more accomplished with the desert, crystal, Landmo kill, and Argus kill, perhaps. But because GT was not really, well, I guess the glove was okay, but not really what Krithel was hoping for from his GT play.
Yeah. I would say it could come down to a rod hunt in the end. Both runners need fire rod, so we'll have to see how that goes.
And I'm curious where the other ice rod is, because Krithel may never go to visit the uncle.
Oh, yeah. Right.
Malmo also doing the statue drag, but has a quicker setup using the mirror.
Yeah, it's very nice. Not to mention that if it goes wrong, mirror can get you out of the jam.
Yeah, that's a good point. If you do not manipulate the camera correctly, you can get stuck in a wall or a different room or a room without Helmasaur.
Oh, Krithel sees a map and ignores it. I didn't realize Krithel potentially has full info at this point.
Oh, it looks. Yeah, we knew Skullwoods. Oh, yeah, that's true. Skullwoods being the green pendant is bad for Malmo. I forgot about that. There's less incentive to kill Mothula for that swamp dupe. There are other ways to dupe swamp. There's another hook push to bypass the first flipper requirement in swamp. That's not bad. So I'd imagine she'll probably go for that instead, actually, now that I think about it. But, so that means Ice and Meyer have to be pendants from what I trust our tracker, Tam, to be paying better attention than I am.
Same.
So Krithel into desert with a small key, and this is going to be a swamp play from the looks of it. This is an East Samaria glitch, so we've already seen some North Samarias from the runner. Well, East is definitely trickier, but it shouldn't be a problem though.
Okay, so Krithel is using his flipper's advantage here. He's set up the transition in such a way that he will be able to make west transitions, and potentially we'll see him open a few chests on the way to Argus.
Oh, well, that's a really good point. I didn't know that like subtle motion was enough. I usually go a little bit farther to the left than that, but that's really interesting to know that you don't have to move that much to do it.
Wasn't entirely sure what Malmo was thinking about. She may have considered a juke to get to Hookshot Cave, or maybe she just wanted the fairies. And that would make sense because she's setting up a hook push. This is really interesting. A very fast way to Armos. Very convenient that the boss room is just to the left of the entrance.
That is very convenient. This is one of those mis-slotting glitches we were talking about earlier. By getting a slot 9 Samaria block, you can manipulate the data that the game reads for the hook shot. And you can see she just went flying through a wall, and she's now in the boss room.
And wow, the fire rod is at Armos. That's pretty big.
That is big, but I don't think that's an especially good location for Malmo, because Krithel is going to for sure get that, but that is a good find, though.
Yep.
So Krithel gets the Desert Crystal from Argus, same way that Malmo did. Well, not the same way, but that was the same result by fighting Argus in Desert State.
Malmo sees that Ice Palace is a pendant, and not really sure what she wants to do here. Probably thinking about go mode. She certainly does not need to find any other essential items.
She definitely wants a sword if it's on the way, but yeah, Malmo's definitely in go mode right now. And Krithel's setting up a hook push because doesn't have the mirror and cannot flood this room. At least not quickly, I mean.
Oh yeah. I did not see what went wrong for Krithel or whether he changed his mind. But regardless, he's going on to the next play.
Yeah, the Samaria block was bouncing. I don't know what was going on there. But yeah, also interesting to note that, not that it really matters that much, but with Ice being a pendant, Krithel's slight speed advantage of having the glove is now also pretty much negated. Not that Malmo couldn't get to the boss if she wanted to in Ice, but it's just interesting that how these plays haven't exactly worked out for Krithel as much as he would have liked. Well, Malmo's setting up a hook push. This will take her to Meyer.
Wondering if she wants to be Vitreous. Because this takes her to back of Meyer. And not really sure why she's going for this. I don't know if it's a mistrack or if it's an unknown.
Yeah, maybe she hasn't done the map check recently and hasn't deduced the full layout that we know as viewers with information from both sides would be my guess. But yeah, this is an unusual play. I would have to say she definitely doesn't know that this is a pendant based on what we're seeing.
I'm kind of curious what this will help. How this will help, because the main thing to do is to find out the crystal info, not defeat the boss. All right, Krithel's doing something interesting. I'm not really sure.
Unfortunately, takes a death though. Krithel was trying to damage down to set up a death warp. It would have done a West Samaria to open the door, would be my guess. Or maybe just wanted to go to the front, never mind.
Okay.
Krithel is setting up the same hook push that we saw from Malmo earlier.
Oh, I missed the hammer.
Looked like originally. Oh, yeah. I think that was on Vitreous itself, yeah. Hammer is good for Trinex for conserving magic, I think.
Wondering where Malmo wants to go from here. Maybe it's time to buy more bombs. Alright, Krithel gets to Armos here. There's Fire Rod. This maybe go mode for Krithel as well.
Well, Krithel still has to find an ice rod, I believe.
Oh, excuse me. I'm sorry. You're right.
Yeah,
Krithel still needs
no
an ice rod.
problem.
And I'm wondering what will be his search space. Maybe an Eastern to Meyer, or I don't know.
Right now, he's setting up a door juke to check the big key chest more quickly. I really like this shortcut because this chest is like really out of the way, to be honest. Otherwise, just a piece of heart, unfortunately. And we're getting the super jump from Malmo, the same one that we saw earlier from Krithel.
Yeah, I'm
shortcut
wondering.
to South Dark World.
Yeah, I'm wondering if she'll go directly into Swamp Palace here.
Yeah, she has beams and her lamp out, so it looks like we're going to see more hook pushing.
So Malmo's going to skip over the front room moat. This is something she was practicing before the race, so she may have a strategy for this. That, you know, each person might have a little bit of a different route here, so I'm not quite sure what her setup is. Krithel
Yeah, I
checks
haven't
the
seen
back of
this
this.
setup either. I know that... Oh, go ahead.
Krithel
I did. What was in
uses
the back of
his
his
gloves.
head?
Yeah, but there's just junk. All right, Malmo gets it. That's good. And of
Yeah,
course,
that was an interesting setup.
all the bugs were lined up. All the Phelps, we like to call them. And yeah, that made for an easy kill room.
Yeah, it's interesting how many setups there are for hook pushing. Like, I had never seen that one before. I know from my own experimenting that the fire rod distance is enough for the left hook push to bypass the flipper requirement, but there are so many different ways to accomplish the same thing in no logic, which is one of the reasons I think it's such an interesting format.
Right, and now Malmo will need some other... Okay, so she's using a YBA to get to...
Oh, she's using the mirror, actually.
Okay, let's call it a mirror YBA. So this, we'll wait for some seconds here. There's a timer that's related to the opening of the Triforce door, and we'll hear the sound effect of the door opening, and then Malmo will be able to continue. And meanwhile, Krithel finds another bottle.
Fourth. Wow. In a seed where that's not even as helpful as it otherwise would be. 4 bottles and hook pushing and moon pearl.
Okay. Oops. Malmo was going too far. The crystal drops centered in the screen where the camera is. Not the super tile screen. All right. So what's going on here? Krithel continuing into desert and will, I guess, be going the normal way as well.
Yeah, it makes sense that Krithel already used the desert small key to open the door, so, and then you could use that small key in Meyer or somewhere else if you wanted to, but I believe that Krithel knows that he doesn't need to go to Meyer. But meanwhile, we get a mirror wrap from Malmo to go to Laser Bridge.
Yeah, she really just needs to defeat Trinex and collect the crystal. Then go to Agatu and Ganon.
Yeah, this has been a really good pace for Malmo. Other Fire Rod and Laser Bridge.
Oh,
Nice.
that's a classic.
Oh, that's going to be a really sore spot for Krithel if he goes there looking for an Ice Rod.
Yeah. I find that to be likely. And one reason we know that Malmo had an incentive to go to Uncle was that she was in that region thanks to using the mirror. And Grithel never had that incentive.
Yeah, and the fact that two of the cave state keys were just available on the way in
Right.
basic like checks that we do pretty much every no logic seed. There was no incentive to go to the castle at all. Otherwise, the Crystal setting up a mirrorless wrap as Malmo into the Trinex fight. Yeah, I made note of the hammer being helpful for conserving magic, but with the big key in Samaria, she just rode the platform the normal way.
Some figure eights to avoid Trinex. The hammer comes in helpful here for sure.
Wow, 7 crystals already for Malmo at an hour and 1 minute. A very, very good pace for this seed.
Yeah, absolutely. Meanwhile, Krithel finds a vanilla key in Turtle Rock. All right. Yeah, Malmo's going to be using Samaria to get to Aghanim 2. It's going to be a wrong warp, and that's accomplished with a quadrant glitch. And we'll see her line up a sword spin, crossing the quadrant boundary, and North Samaria to create a hole. Well, excuse me, sort of. Yeah, there we go. And we're in the Agatu
This is
arena.
one of our many shortcuts to Agatu.
Mm-hmm. Nice fight.
Yeah, that was quick. She's going for the Clype, but Aga's in the bad spot, blocking view of the pixels. What a shame.
Krithel low on hearts. Dealing with floating skulls can be a little scary. So Krithel's using an STC in the same doorway, but I believe this one will just be to adjust his room ID upwards to get a quick roller room check. It's the fire rod skip.
To answer a question, chat, really quick, Krithel does not have the swamp crystal, I don't believe. And Malmo into her Ganon fight.
Yeah, Malmo needs to stay alive here. She has 10 hearts, red mail, master sword, and silver arrows. So some safety is available to get through. She's on to phase 2.
Yeah, the silver arrows will speed up the fight, but this is a notoriously awkward fight, trying to stun Ganon with the Master Sword to shoot him with the bow. I think a lot of people tend to agree on that.
Right, so Krithel oftentimes likes to go to Mire through Cave State, and that's what we are seeing now. Unless he's out of resources.
I think he just changed his mind, but it would have been a similar overworld conveyor the way we saw him go into pod earlier. Another misslotting glitch. Misslotting a bomb this time. Back to GT for Krithel, though.
There's a sword in Hope Room.
Tempered in Hope Room.
Right, Malmo on to phase 4. And Ganon is defeated.
Yeah, that was a
GG's to
very good
Malmo.
fight. As Malmo has finished with an official time of 1 hour, 5 minutes, and 43 seconds. Very well played. GG to Malmo. I mean, well, Krithel, unfortunately, decides to do Tile Room.
Unless it has Ice Rod, but it doesn't. My gosh, Krithel gets knocked back into the Wall Master at the same time he turns a anti-fairy into a fairy. We are joined by Malmo. Hello, congrats on the win.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Oh, no.
congratulations. Very well played.
It's an ice rod hunt.
Yes.
Oh, I forgot about the Uncle Ice Rod. Those cave keys are such a trap.
That's right. That's what JD was saying.
I'm really surprised Krithel doesn't have Mirror, though, because the Graveyard Lich usually gets done.
Yeah, I want to mention that was a significant issue here. So Krithel went for it, but a boulder knocked him out of place.
God.
So that his jump turned into a funny auto walk thing
That
instead
is
of
so unfair.
proper DMD. Yeah, that's right. So I was saying that the opportunity to go to Pyramid Fairy brought you to Escape and Pyramid. Would that be true?
Yes. So I saved and quit to Link's house and then lost my mind a little. I'm like, wait, why am I checking Shovel by itself when I can do all of this in the Light World and Dark World together? Which, by the way, is a trap. Like, there's no way that's faster with all the mirroring. But you always think it's going to be. So you're like, oh, I'm going to do this, like, massive double world clear. And it just feels bad the entire time you're doing it.
Maybe. I don't know. I was hoping the mirror was not going to swing the race. Like, I even said that I didn't think that it would, but unfortunately I was wrong. And Krithel did just get the Ice Rod on Uncle.
I always think gets closure for that.
Yeah, that solves the puzzle. So
And Krithel has forfeited from the race. But GG to Krithel, though.
GG's. And how about the pace of that seed, Malmo? That was a 105.
Oh, it could have been, could have been my best time if I had correctly read my tracker and seen that I had a higher pendant before doing Vitreous.
Okay, it was a mistrack.
It wasn't even, I didn't even track. I was in my mindset of I have 3 dungeons left. 2 of them are crystals and 1 of them's a pendant. But it was actually 2 of them are pendants.
Yeah.
And I got my information when I did pod, but I didn't realize that. So I went outside and checked my ice map. And it's like, okay, ice is the pendant. So that means I have to do Meyer and the other one.
Wow, Krithel. Interesting to see Krithel go for the mirror there. Too bad about the his progress through.
Yeah, it feels bad when that happens. I don't know if, I mean, I had a pretty good route in this one, so I don't know if that would have made the difference. He didn't have to do what I did with the mirror. You know, there's a lot of better things to do than the escape.
Yeah.
But I was a little bit playing to my outs, and knowing that if I just play normally, I'm probably not going to beat him. So I had to do those checks that I know that it's easy to skip, because he tends to route pretty aggressively.
Yeah, around the time you were doing Hyrule Castle, I believe, and maybe not exactly, but Krithel made a play into GT and only got a glove and Quake out of it. There really wasn't much there. He did the YVA from Hookshot Cave.
Did he tree warp the Tempered?
Or was in Hope
The
Room.
cho-
We just recently
yeah.
saw. So that was Krithel's second trip into GT.
Yeah, Swamp Palace was interesting because, first of all, that Argus fight was I don't know how I survived that. I should not have survived that fight. But the dupe with the hook shot, I couldn't do it the normal way because Skull Woods was a pendant, so I had no reason to kill Mothula.
Right.
So I had to bring out the old tech. I almost forgot how to do. I was practicing it before the race, and I still did it wrong the first try in the seed.
Right.
Yeah, that was really good though that you did that. I never learned that setup myself, but I improvised it myself recently. Just so that you know, the fire rod distance to the left is actually enough. I did it recently, so there's so many ways you can do it. But yeah, it was a really good thing for you to do. I thought it was interesting that because Krithel got the flippers in Hookshot Cave, but that was later discovered that it wasn't going to be an advantage for him because of the hook pushing.
I was pretty afraid of he was just practicing the clippers for the race. I'm like, oh, it's a clipper seed. And then I get my hook shot, and it's like, okay, never mind, it's just free.
Yeah. After Pod, though, the number of locations of free locations for the hook shot kind of diminished.
I got to do Vitreous with the hook push. It was definitely worth getting that. I can do an extra pendant dungeon for no reason. A little bit faster.
You got the hammer out of it, which made
Trinex not as much of a disaster as it could have been. Yes.
Yeah.
Trinex is always like that. It's just how it goes. Oh, the Swamp Small Key. I had not considered if I had that or not when I went into Swamp. I got lucky.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. True. Yeah, I've been there. Krithel does have it. Yes.
So he's finishing this out, but he forfeit. I don't know if that means he's going to join the... He probably didn't know he was going to get go mode that fast, so he just wants to finish his seed. He can unforfeit if he wants to.
That's an interesting point about the Swamp Small. I just assumed that you knew what you were doing. I didn't even think about it.
Never assume that. Come on, you know me.
Oh, but you're so experienced, Malmo. I've learned so much from you.
Oh, well, thanks.
And you can technically hook push into the key door, which is kind of tricky.
That's true.
Yes.
Wow, that's nuts. I've seen people attempt to hook push south, but it looks kind of tricky. You need a lot of distance for that.
Yeah, and I don't fully get it because you're going into a left-hand quadrant, so I'm not quite sure how to hook.
Oh.
I guess you could hook against the chest.
Why didn't I do what Krithel is doing? He might get stuck in a wall here, though. If he tries it like this. Yeah, that doesn't look good. Maybe that's the reason. There isn't really a good way to do it. I had the hammer, so it would have been free for me, but for him, I don't know if this is that good, because you're either dealing with Terminators or you're getting stuck in a wall. You might be able to do it from the room below. In the room with the pot, the key pot, if you can set up a hook push in there, you can probably get up.
There's not a layer issue with that?
There's no layers in here. These are all You can actually, if you're confident with your deep door YBAs, you can save a little time doing it in that door instead, and it works just as well.
Oh, right. Yeah. We can figure out a time bomb for it.
Probably not saving time if you're doing that. Yeah, looks like we're just gambling the Terminator here. It's yeah, I would be doing it in that pot room, I think, but I think even then, yeah, no, there's no way to do this without Terminator problems because the pot is too close to the ceiling, and by ceiling I mean north wall because that's how rooms work.
I want him to get this, though. We learn so much every time we see, or at least I personally do, every time I see, like, really experienced runners play No Logic.
Yeah, he's like manually lining up his Terminator offset to make sure he gets on the right frame. There we go. And that's a trick he probably borrowed from the Ice Palace one, where it's mandatory if you're going to cold stare.
Yeah, that's an interesting one. Somebody taught that to me recently. Just buffer a little bit.
So we saw some very interesting things from Krithel in this seed. The fake flute to 2 is nothing new, but it gave Krithel a nice route to Catfish, so that was neat to see. And then from there, something very surprising, which is that Krithel went for an overworld conveyor to swap the dungeon ID of Pod. Unfortunately, he didn't get it, but we saw the attempt.
Pretty good. He's been waiting for a chance to bust that one out, and a little bit of a shame that this is a Meyer pendant because I wanted to see that.
Oh yeah. Right. Yeah, it's a technique I don't think we've seen at all in this tournament. I haven't seen it since Hoda Ruby's swordless world record from this year. Krithel will not be joining us for the interview, but perhaps we'll see a try next fight. Any thoughts going into Game 2, Malmo?
Yeah, rooting for Krithel in that one so we can have a Game 3.
Yeah.
And as customary, I will be reading the land bridge sign.
Mm-hmm.
Being up a game in Game 2, that's my rule. Or if I bonk. If I bonk on the sign, I have to read it.
Ah, yes.
It's in the contract.
Yeah, it's a toll sign. Krithel is a very scary opponent. One thing I didn't mention about his progress through the tournament is I believe he has the fastest time with maybe the only sub hour of any no logic double rods in this tourney. I believe it was 56 minutes.
That was insane. And before that, I had the fastest time, and he usurped it.
Yeah, that's true.
It's like, how am I supposed to compete with that? Because
Oh,
I just find the ice rod. That's how you do it. Just find the ice rod.
Yeah.
Go to the uncle.
Yep. And I love the rainbow Samus, who appears to have silvery hair.
Actually proud of my Agatu fight.
Oh,
These are not patterns I should have done well in.
you ended it with 2 difficult diagonals.
Yeah, that was like Hail Mary shots.
Yeah, that was a very fast fight. I enjoyed watching it. Krithel also, unfortunately, misses the Clipe.
Krithel now falling into Ganon.
So do you hope... I was going to say, Malmo, do you hope for a more difficult, less straightforward seed, maybe, if you're hoping for a Game 3?
I guess so. I want to see the new tech that he's been learning, because he's been putting a lot of work into this, and I haven't, you know. It would be really sad if he doesn't get to actually use it.
I agree. It would be really interesting. So much new tech has been innovated from this tournament.
It's true, and in no logic, it's tough for rare things to come up, but quite oftentimes, it's helpful to have one obscure piece of tech available.
Yeah, and that piece of tech not just being just choke the Ukul and win the game. Because that's boring. Nobody wants to watch that race. Everybody wants to watch the race where you pull out the overworld conveyor you learned 2 days ago and tree warp a sword or something, you know. What's cool these days? Tree warp is so last week.
Mm-hmm.
I think this overworld conveyor
GG.
tech is where it goes. GG.
Good games.
That was very well played by Krithel as well. It just, spent too much time with the uncle already in his AD RMG grind. Didn't want to go there today.
Very true. And any final thoughts on the tourney, Malmo?
Yeah, I'm happy with how the tourney in general has gone, and a little sad that it's ending, but all things must end, and we don't want to stretch it out too long, so we'll see you in the next one.
Yeah, we still have 5 runners still running, so it'll be great to see how this unfolds. So, as we wrap up, thank you, JD Silvergun, for joining me on commentary, and although it was vice versa, I believe, in our signups, so it was fun to con with you. And thank you, Malmo and Krithel, for running this. Thanks, Tam, for tracking. And thank you, everyone, for watching. We'll see you next time.